Because I found from a personal experience that I'll go onto a bay of patients and I'll look and think, well, which patients am I actually meant to be turning? Because there's no indication unless I go through the paperwork to say this patient needs intentional rounding. The next one is the improvement for staff and patients, making them aware of what needs to be happening, and also to educate the patients of why we're going up every 2 hours to turn that patient, why we're making them a little bit uncomfortable by turning them when they're comfy on one side. I also want to aim to make a classification of people needing it, and I'd like to complete this during my 12-week management placement at the end of my training. I found that the whiteboards on the end of the bays are really beneficial, but again, they're not above the patient, are they, to show you that that patient needs that help. I also look for the movement of staff from other wards. So sometimes you have staff members transferred onto a different ward to help out during busy periods. They're not given a full handover, they're just asked to help with intentional rounding and giving out meals. Therefore, they don't actually know which patients need the intentional rounding without looking at the paperwork at the end of the bed. I hope for the change as well to help reduce the pressure sores, because through intentional rounding, it has been shown that pressure sores have decreased, and I'd like to make sure that this carries on. I also want to make sure that the turns are completed safely and within the time period that they are allocated. So what's the change that I'd like to implement? The change that I thought of is to put in a coloured-coded system above the patient's bed on admission. So therefore, when the patient's being admitted, they are looked at to whether they are needed intentional rounding, and it'll be decided whether they need 2 hourly turns or 3 hourly. So for a 2 hourly turn, a star will be placed above the bed. For 3 hourly, a circle. It's also noted that sometimes some patients need more than one staff member to help turn them. So therefore, I decided to implement a colour. So a green will indicate that one staff member can carry out that intentional rounding on their own, but a red star or circle indicates that they need 2 or more people. The stars and the circles are placed above the bed, therefore that when you walk into that bay, you can see which colour stars or circles are above that patient, and then it can be changed on later on when the patient becomes more mobile or more independent with the progression of their getting better. To the initial stage, you've got an indication of how much care is needed for that patient. I'll be implementing the change through doing PDSA cycles. So first of all, I looked at the planning stage of getting a bit of information about why I wanted to change it. I also spoke with the ward sister to get her feedback of what I wanted to implement and whether she thought it would be applicable to her ward. I also got the support from my faculty advisor, so I had a bit of support to help me, because at first we thought through being a student, nobody'd want to listen to us. That's not the case. They want to know our feedback and what we think would make a good change. Therefore, I aim to trial my change upon one bay. Following the trial of a week, I'll get feedback from the patients, the nursing staff, the healthcare support workers, and from my own personal experience, whether I think the change was beneficial. After a week, I will review it, and if it's successful, I'll hopefully trial the change onto a bigger scale. If it doesn't work, though, that's fair enough. I'll review it and see if there's something else that I can change to make it better.